sasarapuin. Pero masakit din ito para sa milyon-milyong mga kababayan natin naniniwala ang aming serbisyo ay mahalaga sa kanila.
With much of the country under lockdown, the network's free-to-air services, 42 television channels, 23 radio stations, are ordered off the air by the Duterte government.
Sa buong karakanan, na maging katapat lahat ng inyong mga kwento at nagawan tayo ng mga nasa pangyarihan.
Earlier that day, ABS-CBN's head of news, Jing Reyes, had to organize the coverage of the story.
My reporter said they will issue a cease and desist order and it's on its way, ma'am. And so I said, can they really do this? It just breaks my heart whenever I see the images of our people crying and, fighting back tears or just plain speechless and shocked because they couldn't believe that it could happen.
This is ABS-CBN Operation Channel 2 in the service of the Filipino. Now signing off.
It's very sad that this happened during this time when we had a pandemic. People need information. Sadly, the government has failed to deliver accurate information. If you listen daily briefings, you will be bombarded with a lot of propaganda. But the ABS-CBN gives you an accurate picture of what is happening.
When it comes to attacking the media, Rodrigo Duterte makes leaders like Donald Trump and Jair Bolsonaro look like masters of subtlety.
Just because you are a journalist, you are not exempted from assassination. If you are a son of a bitch.
He's gone after various news outlets. His issues with ABS-CBN go back to 2016, when the network refused to air his election ads. It's the kind of thing most politicians move on from, not Duterte.
Itong ABS, kung expire ang contract ninyo, mag-renew kayo, ayaw ko lang kung I will make sure that you will remember this episode of times.
ABS-CBN did not let up either. Its critical reporting on Duterte's war on drugs and its impact on impoverished Filipinos has pulled no punches.
Kabila nito, bahagya pa rin natis pa rin.
And the network's coverage of the government's brutal siege against an Islamic insurgency in the southern Philippines has won international accolades. Duterte, who loves to talk tough and appear macho, didn't send police or security forces in to shut down ABS-CBN. He relied on a compliant Congress, which simply allowed the deadline for renewing the network's license to pass. Death by legislative default.
This is really the problem with our democracy here in the Philippines. We are supposed to have three independent bodies, government, but more often than not, our Congress, they fail to assert their prerogative as an independent branch of government.
It's no surprise to anybody in this country that Congress people, who of course always have their hands stretched out for whatever funds the executive will give their districts, have always taken care not to antagonize Duterte, and even more to do as he wishes. Congress has become an appendage of Rodrigo Duterte. Nobody can deny that in the country.
ABS-CBN has been forced off the air before, in 1972. Back then, it had plenty of company.
The proclamation of martial law is not a military takeover.
President Ferdinand Marcos imposed martial law and shut down the majority of news outlets. ABS-CBN was transformed into a pro-Marcos media empire. Its president, Henry Lopez, was imprisoned for 5 years without trial. Many Filipino journalists were jailed, some tortured and killed. When Marcos was overthrown in 1986, rebel soldiers took back ABS-CBN, restoring the Lopez family's ownership.
I began working for ABS-CBN in 1986 just when ABS-CBN reopened after the revolution, everyone wanted to be a journalist because of our newfound freedom. Filipinos fought hard for those freedoms to be restored. And I get to see this happen again. It's just very, very sad.
It's impossible to silence completely ABS-CBN because in 1972, there was no social media, there was no internet, so it was easy to muzzle the press. Now, the social media presence of ABS-CBN is also big, but now the only problem is the penetration rate is still very low in the Philippines, and our internet service is very poor.
Just one half of the Filipinos have actual access to digital media. Too many are poor. Every minute of digital media will cost for the Filipino, even if the world thinks we're the most social media crazy nation on earth. It's not enough. Especially for the poor, who need every credible, vetted information that can be given to them so that they are better prepared to take care of their lives under a time of crisis.
Half a century ago, Ferdinand Marcos wiped out the Filipino media with the stroke of a pen when he declared martial law. Rodrigo Duterte has taken a more gradual approach with the outlets he does not like. In 2017, he threatened the country's biggest newspaper, The Inquirer, with tax evasion charges. The paper was subsequently bought by one of his supporters. The Duterte government has tried to take down Rappler, a critical online news site, over ownership rules and, again, allegations of tax evasion. But silencing a network of more than 7,000 employees is not easy. New legislation was proposed to Congress this past week, which would put ABS-CBN back on the air while lawmakers reach a decision on its license. The final say on that, however, lies with the president, who seems content to see Filipinos go without a vital news source in the middle of a pandemic.
On a daily basis, about 70 or so million Filipinos tune in to ABS-CBN. There are a number of areas that only ABS-CBN can reach. Places like Panay Island, parts of Iloilo, Negros Occidental, many others. But it's not just our loss, it's also the loss of those people in those areas.
I don't know how long the Philippine press can withstand these attacks. And I hope that all journalists in the Philippines will unite to push back and resist. Because if the government can do it on the country's largest broadcast network, who else is safe?
And yet, while we protest it, while we push against these efforts to silence media, we also want to show that, hey, we've been here before. These people and our media trying to overwhelm the dictator. We are not going to allow another to kill democracy and free expression again.
We're discussing other coronavirus-related media stories that are on our radar now with one of our producers, Flo Phillips. Flo, President Trump has been tweeting at all hours of the night, going after his critics in the American media. Then he's been confronting journalists face-to-face by day. Walk us through this latest incident with the reporter from CBS News.
It will